Going out onto this peninsula, we pass this huge bay. Looks like a little village down there. Should get there later this morning. And here is the Gadar, the oldest steel ship in Iceland. We can imagine the day when men climbed that mast, and that was used to haul things aboard. This is that ship's eternal view forward. We'll progress up this way somewhere, off to the right. Movie that I have called Aftermath that describes how everything on Earth that man has created disintegrates over a time scale. To the terrible potholed mud dirt road getting to the intersection of 612 and 614. On 614, going down to the beach, it's this very nice, pretty darn smooth mud road. Just a view en route to the beach, but it eerily looks like the volcano across the straits, but I don't even know where I'm at. I'm not sure if that could be it or just a cloud. Spectacular landscape from this super steep switchback dirt road. Part of the challenge of doing this stuff is the excitement of doing things that scare you, and this one does. It won't on the way up, but it will on the way down when you've never done it before. I mean, for me. Fellscold glacial volcanic cone. Now this road is a dead end. It doesn't go anywhere. And that's after you've come down that really steep, muddy road. I hate to do it in the winter, but this is the community that lives here. Neat and prim. Look at that pretty church. We'll go take a look at that, but I got to get going because there's a vehicle coming. Who'd have thunk? Over to the right of those buildings you can see 2 or 3 cars. I got here thinking I was alone, and in minutes there were 2 more vehicles. Not much to do here. I think that can be the starting point for a trek from here up to the cliffs, way up at the far end here to our left, where there's supposed to be great bird breeding, but only up through August, and some spectacular cliffs. There is no highway between here and there. But for those who are just making a short hike here, this is what we get to look at. And I suspect that that's just a sand barrier created by the ocean. It's a remote spot down a very dicey road that in the wintertime would seem to be a real bear, but maybe from these folks' viewpoint, it's the same thing as going over Teton Pass in the old days in a wagon. They just went slowly and carefully with 4-wheel drive rigs. These are the cute little signposts that are put up. Don't know whether it's the government or the farmer. I'm guessing the farmer. It serves the benefit of keeping tourists going where he wants them to and not through his fields. But cutely done. Looks like a little boy picking up a spider or something. Too worn to make out the dates on these 2 folks here. Here a newer plaque's been put up. 1883. Along there are humps, like I'm walking up on a hump now. And down and then up on another one. I wonder if these are graves. Boy, starting in the middle 1800s, you can imagine how incredibly important this church was to psyche of the folks who lived here. 1884, it looks like. Newer graves. (1951) or 54. I believe I'm correct. All of these mounds, which are pushing up dandelions in this instance, are graves that are no longer marked. Perhaps they were only marked with wooden crosses. I don't know if you can see, but there on the left side is the pulpit. What's novel is that it's at the side of the church, facing away from the ocean. Little two-door gate lock. I've seen it more than once. It's not a lock, it's just a way of holding a door closed. But this lifts up, and then that half a pipe slides down onto this pipe, and it pretty much locks it in place, and that's a pretty heavy weighted ring. This is how they tell you you're about to approach a blind hill. Saw this pretty cascade of falls, if you will. Not dramatic, just pretty. This gives a little hint of what the road is like, but this is actually the flatter area towards the top. Off in the distance is that cascade of falls that we saw earlier. Came down from those hills and wrapped around to the left. I'm not going to go up to the cliffs. It goes to the right another roughly 50 miles or 25 miles up, 25 miles back. But this is a salmon aquaculture complex, and the machinery you can hear off to the left, and I'll pan around so you can see it. Too lazy to get out of the car, but it's apparently pumping something through those lines down there, because you can hear it rushing out there. What it is, I don't know. As I was driving up along this fjord, it just seemed to me that those headlands were more like a group of whales sitting on the shore, or lying on the shore, waiting for some reason to go out to sea. Because they're so whale-like in size, and blunt-nosed, and gray, I guess. Here's a small fishing village. Not so small, actually. We've climbed out of the last valley. Now we'll drop down into this one, another fjord, if you will. And then climb up. All the way up through there. You can see way up at the top there is the rest of our road in this valley. Right in the center of the page it says, in light blue, Bildudalur, or something like that. B-A-L-D, blah, blah, blah. That's where we are. And we're traveling up the peninsula, Rauðasandur, which may or may not be a town. The guidebook said it's spectacular, and I think it is, but it ranks right up with everything else I've seen in Iceland as I've traveled along. Big, dramatic, spectacular, but not enough to continue down this dirt road another 20 miles. Came to video the church, but I noticed these two berms for some reason. It must have had some role in the past. What it was, I don't know. This steeple has quite a bit more design element to it than the ones we've seen. It's a bigger church in a bit more substantial town, although not more so than Skitsamrir or whatever it was where I took the ferry from.